Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card, which I call a butterfly frame card, largely because the frame, I've normally got butterflies in there. I'm going to show you one in a moment that doesn't have a butterfly, but I still call it butterfly frame card. I showed this one on my blog the other day and somebody said would I show how to make it, would I do a video, and yes, I always try to do videos when I get requests, but I wasn't totally happy with this because I felt that the frame bit there was a bit busy, but I thought I'll have a go. I decided to do a square card because obviously you're having the square there, as long as everything is fitted into the middle like the sentiment, then that works really well. So after I did this one, when I knew I was doing the video, I did this one here. And this is the first non-butterfly butterfly frame. Okay, so it's a masculine one. Now this one, I like it, but it's too plain. What I should have done is this layer here, I should have used this design, and I think that would have looked much nicer. I prefer this to something that's overcrowded, but the most difficult thing about making this card is choosing designs that go together. Basically what you need is, you need one that is a nice patterned paper, quite busy, I suppose I would say, although that's not particularly busy, and then one quite plain design, which this one is, whereas this one, it's got very patterned here. I thought that would go with this highly patterned bit, but I don't think it does. But you know, it's all a matter of taste. So I'm going to do this one today, not these colours and not this paper. So I'm going to start off by telling you the cardstock that you're going to be needing. I'm going to be using Petal Pink, so to start off with, and I'm giving you inches measurements for people who use A4. In the box below the video I will be putting the metric measurements, and I will also work out what the North America inches size should be so that you can get one card out of your sheet of cardstock. I don't know quite what you call your sheet of cardstock actually. Anyway, whatever, rather than you won't need to get 12-inch paper. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is the A4 size, which is 11.5 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded in half. So you've got a square 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. You will need, now my designer series paper, I am using this. So I've got one fairly plain and I've got one that's fairly busy. Obviously they're both the same, it's the same piece. So what you need 3 pieces that measure 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Then you need another piece of the designer series paper and a piece of Whisper White. Now these should both measure 5 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Then you need a piece of, I don't know why I brought all those over, a piece of Whisper White which measures, now don't panic here please, 3 13/16 of an inch by 3 13/16 of an inch. Now I'm going to just show you that on my trimmer because it's not very difficult, but if you want to, go for 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so let me just show you this first. Now, you know your 3 3/4 and you know your 3 7/8. So if I can here, okay, so that's your 3 3/4. That is your 3 7/8. And between the two of them, there's 13/16. Okay, so that's the size that you need. Now, if you go for 3 3/4, what's going to happen is, if you don't make these all line up perfectly, like I haven't on that one, I seem to get 3 out of 4 with mine, you'll be able to see through there, unless when you put your paper in here you push it up to the bit where it's got the gap, because nobody's going to see through there, so you might as well push your bit up there. Okay, I'll try and remember to show you what I mean when we get to that bit. You'll also need a scrap of Whisper White for the butterflies. The stamp set that I'm going to be using is Butterfly Brilliance, and I have 2 of these, and the reason I have 2 is because one I have kept as one stamp, and the other one is I've cut the stamps into separate bits. Okay, so that's my one stamp, and this is the one that I've cut individually. I haven't finished those 2 off yet, and I haven't put my stickers on, as you can see, but that's a stamp set I'm using. There is a set of dies that goes with this. It's that set there, you get all of these. Okay, this goes with the complete stamp. I wouldn't want to try and use this for the images that I've stamped that I've cut up. And I have seen somebody made a video of how you can actually separate these dies. I'm not inclined to do that because I like the idea that they're all as one, and I'm not going to spend out for an extra set of dies, whereas I don't mind the stamp set because I think that was just £16 or something, so that's not going to break my bank. The sentiment that I've used is from Oval Occasions, and it's that little one there. We've had Mother's Day, or Mothering Sunday here in the UK, but I know it comes up in May for the rest of the world, so this could be changed to Mother's Day quite easily. Alright, so let's get going. So first of all, now let's see. The small piece, that one there, is going to be going on the front of my card like that. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is to adhere all my pieces together. Right, that's frame 5.5 inches. So that one's got to be on the inside as well. So let me just put these 2 together, and then we can get on to the fun bit. Smooth those out of the way. Bring this in. You may have noticed, as you've seen my hands flashing about, that I am minus 1 finger now. I really struggled with my videos last week, and somebody very kindly said, just leave them off, don't go for it. And I realised that she probably meant take them all off, but I couldn't do that. But the finger that I have left it off of, which is my index finger, that really is a working finger for me. So to keep that one without the nail on, the false nail on, it does make life so much easier for me. So I'm going to pop that onto there, and what I've done with my sizing here, the front of my card is 5 3/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, and the middle layer, my design series paper there, is 1/4 inch shorter, so that's 5.5 inches, and my top layer is another 1/4 inch shorter, so that's 5 1/4 inches. So trying to work out the sizing for North America should be an absolute doddle. Just make sure that I haven't got one side of it wider than the other, as I so frequently do. Okay, so that I've got the 1/4 inch gap all the way round on this, and I think for such a large card, I think that's quite important. Now I'm going to put this one on. In fact, I might as well do this, mightn't I? Yes, I'm going to put both of these on. I was going to say that I'll wait and see until I have folded, because I couldn't I? Okay, excuse me while I talk to myself. I did think that I would leave that until I have made the square, and then decide which way round I had these. The purple one, I didn't have any spare sheets, but I know that I do of that one if I do change my mind. Which side do I put the glue on? Oh, right, that one. Okay, so let's get the sheet that we are going to make our design with. Now I want my grey design to be here and my pink design to be on the triangles, which means I need to have that on the inside. Okay, so we need to find the centre point, and there are several ways that you can do this. The way I tend to do it is to fold this in half to get a rectangle. Make sure it's perfect, and you probably know I don't use a paper scorer on when I'm using designer series paper. Now fold it the other direction. Now it is easier if you do this by drawing lines, because that's visible, but I then put a hole in my cardstock where those two cross over. Okay, so let's use that, and I can see that it is right there. I find it easier to fold my corners when it's like that. Okay, so this is going to be my inside. I'm going to take my first corner, take it up to the hole that I've pierced there, and try and make sure that this comes down this folded line and this folded line as close to the line as possible, because as I fold each of these corners over, I want them all to meet up. Okay, so turn it to the next corner, and again, corner is going to go up to there, and I'm going to try and make sure that this lines up nicely against here. I find that as I'm going around, these first ones are fine. See, that's lining up beautifully. And it's that last one where I tend to get a bit of a gap on it. Okay. And it's just my finger doing my scoring. Again, up to the hole. Watch out what's happening here. Yep, that's going together really nicely. So squash that down. And then the last one, up to the hole. Press that down. Got a slight gap coming along there. Let's see if I can pull that a bit tighter. And this one, yep, that's not too bad. It's more up this bit that you want to make sure it's closed. So what I do now is I want to do my stamping for my piece in here. Okay, so that's my piece. This is 3 13/16, and it fits in there perfectly. Okay. I have also worked out that if you've got a piece of designer series paper that you're folding and you're using a 5-inch square, your square bit in here, your square will measure 3.5 inches. If you're using a 6-inch square and you fold, you'll get a square in the side there that measures 4.25 inches. And I will put those measurements in the box below. It appears that they are all 3/8 of an inch smaller than the size before if you go down in 1/2 inch measurements. Right, so what I want to do is work out where I need to stamp here so that it fits in like that. So what I do is I have some scrap paper which measures 3 13/16 of an inch. So that's going to fit in there. Now at this stage, if you have used 3 3/4, put your, if you've got one with a gap, put that up there and then push this to fill the gap, okay? Otherwise, if you're doing 3 13/16, you don't need to worry about positioning. In fact, I know what we need to do next. Right, we've got to fold this back first. what you need to do, just fold that up to the edge and make sure that this is a straight line across here. Turn it around, fold this one, and you have to make sure that where you're folding here it lines up with this one so that you finish up with a nice square. Okay, so line that bit up first, make sure the point goes to the other side, and then you can push this side down. Okay, so you get a nice straight line there as well. So turn that, fold this one up first to line up so you've got a good angle there. Then bring this so that it goes up to the opposite side there, and then squash that down. And then the last one, when you line this one up on this side, you've got to make sure it lines up on this side as well. Okay, so let's do that side first. That's it. And then that will go over to there. And then if you, not that one, put your piece of scrap paper in there. And look at it, you can tell whether you've got a square there or if it's a bit wonky. First one I did was really wonky, it was quite funny. Okay, so you've got that. Now that we've got that bit, we know that we need to get our stamping in there. So the way I do it is my scrap paper, and then I hold this down and I draw my square. Hold those two down. Those two. And then I'm going to use my Stamparatus to get my sentiment in the right place here. Obviously I've already done it. Okay, it's a bit messy, isn't it? A bit messy all round. Never mind. Let's put that one in there. Now it shouldn't matter which way round you put it, unless you have done the 3 3/4 inches, and you do need to remember which corner that was. I think if you just use the top left hand corner whenever, always, then you get into the routine that that's where the gap will be. Okay, so what I do, I don't really want to do it now, but in fact I'll tell you what, let me just stamp it first because I know the position is correct, and then I'll be able to take that off because it might take me a long time to get it back into position again. So I can show you exactly how I do it. Now I should have done this before time, but never mind. Okay, so that's the one for my card. Let's go back to this one. Where's my chamois? Let me just clean that. These are absolutely brilliant if you use a Stamparatus. As you can see, it does get very, very stained, but it is a stain. It isn't. It won't come off on your hands or your cardstock or anything. In fact, let me just pop that under there. You can see that? Yep. Okay. So this is my scrap paper. This is the stamp that I want to use. So what I do is I pop it there where I want it to be. That looks right to me. Now bearing in mind that I would normally get my head right over this to have a look. So what I do next is oh my goodness, that looks as if it's straight. Okay, let's try stamping it onto straight lines, see if it still looks straight. This is how I do it. My goodness, look at that. Okay, so I didn't need to do that one. Let's do another one because it will be used again. Things don't work out as nice and easily as that when I'm here on my own. It really doesn't. So there's that. And that. Okay, right, I'm pleased with that. Move that one over, won't be needing that. I will, in fact, while I'm stamping, let's do the butterflies. And these are the three that I've cut apart, and I didn't put the backings on them. As usual, don't forget, if you do cut your stamps like this, it makes your guarantee with Stampin' Up! Null and void. Once you've used your stamps and you're happy that they're okay, then I don't think you'll have any problems after that. So what I would recommend is, before you cut them up like this, stamp them at least once so that you can check that there aren't any faults. If there's no faults, then by all means go ahead. Now this is my scrap of paper, and I know it isn't quite wide enough. It's too close to the edge here. So rather than rearrange those, I'm just going to bring this down a tad. There we go, that's fine. So let me ink these up. The first time I did the square one, the masculine one, no, the purple one, I wasn't sure which butterfly I wanted to use. So I did the three smallest ones. And nothing will be wasted, because if you've watched my videos before, you know that I keep images that I've stamped or die cut and not actually used for my projects. And I have to say, I have done that an awful lot for this set. And what I do is, oh, let's pop that away first. All those that don't get used, I keep them in little bags in here. So I have so many little bags of this one. That was die cut from the Designer Series paper. That was die cut from the reverse side. These are stamped but not painted. Stamped and painted. And of course the little vellum ones. And that one was, oh, just die cut with white. And the reason I die cut the white ones was, if I am going to be using these butterflies and I'm not putting the wings right down, I don't like where I've used blends where the colour has bled through. So I die cut and put a plain white one on the back, and I'm much happier with that. Now I haven't done it on this one, and the reason is because the positioning on the butterflies, I don't think it's going to be seen anyway. On here I've got two dimensionals underneath the wings, so unless somebody actually picks it back like that, they're not going to see that there's the ink having bled through there. Right, so first of all I'm going to show you how I colour these. Right, so I've got light and dark smoky slate and light and dark petal pink. So let me just do the little one first, I think. No, I always go for that first. I use a dark smoky slate for the body. And what I would do is I would paint all three of these at the same time. And then with the light petal pink, I just go and paint all over. Let me just cut some of this off. I should have done this before I started. I do that deliberately wonky like that. So when I pick this piece up next time, I know that that is not going to be a straight edge. If I've cut an edge whether it looks straight or not, then I will make it obvious that it's needs to be checked. It's doing things like this that fingernail gets in the way. Can't wait to get back to Sharon. I think we've got about 3-4 weeks now. My appointment with her is on the 13th of April. I shouldn't say things like that because it's like wishing my life away, and I'm certainly not doing that. So there we go, that's all the light, and this is the dark. And I just go over all the shaded bits. I don't try and be perfect about it, and all the edges. It is difficult with Petal Pink because it is such a pale colour, but it's just a question of going over a couple of times to get the depth there. Okay, oh, that's that bit as well. So let's do that bit again. You see it's coming up a bit darker now. And it is better when you're trying to do some kind of shading to let the colours dry before you go back onto the next colour. But I'm not going to allow myself the luxury of that while I'm videoing. I've already done these ahead of time, so they will all be dried. Okay. Yes. And I go with the light again and just go all over. It just helps the light and dark blend together nicely. So next, because I said that this image is from what I have as the stamp that I've cut apart, I can't die cut it. So all I want to show you is how I do the antenna. Okay. Because there is no way that I could cut round these and not have any white left. So I just go round and leave a tiny bit, and I will bring it up close to show you in a jiffy. And it's only this bit that I'm going to be doing. Okay. Now if you have a look at the amount of white that I have left on his antenna. Now I found that if I colour that in black, it just goes far too dark. So that's why I have my light grey marker here. Obviously it's not going to colour in and hide the white, but it will soften it, it will make it look a lot lighter and therefore less obvious. Just make sure you don't paint his eyes. Okay, so let me show you that. So it hasn't covered in the white to make it black, because the black just made them so thick. It was horrible. So I use the light now. So these are mine that I did earlier. Okay, let me bring my frame back in. That's this one, and I'm going to use that. So first of all, I'm going to pop this inside, glue it in. You can use any glue that you like. You don't have to put glue all over it, because once the card and the frame is sorted out, it's all going to be held in place anyway. Okay, so just close those down and it will help to push it into place. Okay, so the next thing I do is to anchor that part down so that it's got some dimensional underneath it. And what I have found really nice and quick and easy to do this bit with is to use our sheet of adhesive foam. So what I do is I can cut off some strips. I don't know how wide that is. Probably about 1/4 of an inch. Now I adhere these halfway between the bottom and that fold line. Okay, in here somewhere. These are obviously a bit too long, but that's okay. I'll save the offcuts to be used for something. So much easier, isn't it? And the last one. In fact, that one's quite thick. Okay, so that's that. Oops. Go on, let go. That's it. Right. Right, now just fold those down. So that's your first bit of dimension. Now I'm going to use these. Normally I use the small dimensionals in here, but as I've got these, I'm putting these again about halfway. Oh, it's quite big really for that, but never mind. Half of that length would be fine. Okay, so then you can fold those over, give them a little bit of a press, and just get rid of all of this. That's it. Okay, so there's that. I forgot to check to see if I've got some gems of good colour. Oh, I think the champagne colour would go well with this, wouldn't it? So the next thing is I want my butterfly. So what I do for him is I fold his body like that so that I get the straight bit there. But equally I want to prop his wings up, so I use my small dimensionals and I put one there and one there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue his body down there and his antenna, and then I will take these off, and in fact no, I'll take those off first while I'm holding this down to stick, and then once I'm happy that's solid, then I'll put it down. The other thing I wanted to have a look at was, I should have done that, or at least I felt that I should have done that at an angle last time, which when I thought about it, it was too late. But I'm not sure whether I should be doing a smaller one like that and doing it at an angle. What do you think? Stick with the big one? I think so. So let me put some Tombow on here. Let's bring his antenna up as well, because I put a little bit of glue on there. Whoops, yep. That first one was a bit too much. Okay, let's leave that there. Now I'm going to put this in place, and I find it easier to keep the wings open but not allow them to go down. There we go. His antenna are almost at the top there by the fold. Let's give that a little bit of a press down all the way along his body, and then the antenna as well. Okay. Did I take that off? Don't think I did I? Come on. Oops, I've twisted you round. No, you've got to go back, I'm sorry. It's a bit too big, I think, to put him in at an angle. There we go. Now you've gone up. That's it. Okay, so the wings aren't going to go any further down than that. Put the antenna down as well. So now I'm going to find out whether this is going to look right or not. So that should be the piece that's going on there. That should be on there. I think that might be about the best one. Let's have a look. Let's put it together properly, find out. So this one's a 5.5 inch square. There's quite a little panic there, making sure I've got my card up the right way. Okay, straight. I think so. Okay, so now I'm going to put this one on top. I'm not a person who die cuts shapes out of my layers. I can understand why people do though. It just worries me that my card would fall apart and the recipient would know that I'd done that. But I don't think there is a right or wrong way there. There we go. Now I popped the purple one up on dimensional, so I'm going to do that with this. I think I used this again, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay. Yep, that's about the length. So let's cut 4 more strips. Then I just need to pop something in the middle so the middle doesn't sink. Oh, that's a good length. Look at that. And of course, it's going to make it too short now. Not short enough. Neither are you. So that's good. And what did I do? I think I just cut a few of these, didn't I? If I just do 2 pieces, one about 1/3 of the way, and 2/3 of the way. Right. Obviously you could put it that way so your card opens up like a tent, but I prefer mine that way. I'm not sure what they call that. Right, now I think that's okay. So that's that, put that down. If you wanted your wings to be propped up a bit higher, there's no reason why you couldn't use double layer of dimensionals. I'm going to put a bow on here using this ribbon, which is called organdy striped ribbon. Oh, okay, let me show you how I do this, okay? I do the bunny ears. So you fold that like that, keep it nice and flat. Now this should be alright because I don't have a fingernail getting in the way there. And then fold that one flat and flat. So that is straight, okay? No twists there. And then I put one on the front of the other. So it's almost like the cancer bow, the breast cancer bow. And then you take one of these ears and you push it through the hole there. Keep everything straight, only allow it to bend, not twist. Then turn that one over, pull them down, and then pull them tight. And then you can just play with these. Don't just twist over. It felt that it did, but it doesn't look as if it has. keep that nice and tight there. Make sure the wings are the same size, and use my ribbon scissors to cut this off. That's better, isn't it? That's about the same size, I think. Most people like to adhere their bows using glue dots. I'm not such a fan because I feel that they still move. So what I prefer to do is to use Tombow. I need to cut that one shorter in a minute. I just put some Tombow at the back there. And hold it on there to dry a little bit, just so it gets a grip. And also I'm going to paint with my Wink of Stella. That might come off because I'm going to be working around it, but I can always put it back again. Okay, so I'm just going to paint all of my butterfly. Going to do his body as well, using my Wink of Stella, and then I will also put one on the inside and I'll paint that as well. There we go. Beautiful. Amazing what a difference that makes. I could do with a little peg to hold you on. Have I got anything that I can see? Not really. But when you see the photographs on my blog tomorrow, oh, on Sunday rather, that will be firmly adhered in place. As I've bent your wings, shall I glue you in? I like to put a little bit of glue on their antenna because they're very likely to get caught and creased up, and I don't like that. There we go. Now we can paint you as well. So I'm just going to find some gems to finish off the front of my card. I'd really like to know which one you think is best. I'm sure that there'll be a good selection of opinions. I need to study them yet before I can actually make a decision. And I imagine I put them in the, oh, whoops, sorry about that, and the ones that I called rhinestones. Yes, here we go. What did I do with my take your pick? Here we go. Right, what colours do I want? Normally I do them on here, I'm going to use the big ones anyway. Whoops. These are lovely, really like these. I think they should have been called Petal Pink, don't you? Oh. Tempted to put a couple inside there. I'm going to make that the jury's out for the time being. Right, that is it for today's project. I hope you like it and I hope you're going to give it a try. I'm really quite pleased with that one. That might be my favourite. Not sure yet. So there's that one. This one. My masculine one. Are these coming into the camera? Nearly. Let's see if I can move them along like that. Oh, that's pretty good. And then the other one is this little A6 card. So there we go. Let me know which one you prefer. I think this is my favourite. I just wished I'd done something a bit more over here. I will have a think, see if I can do something. If I do ever change any of my cards or add something to them after I've finished videoing, there will be a picture of it, a photograph of it rather, on my blog on the Sunday that the video goes live. So if you ever want to check up just to see whether I did do something extra or not, the photographs will be there. Many thanks for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed this and I hope you give it a try. If you have any comments to make or have any questions, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to help you and I do read every comment that I receive. In the box below I'll also put the measurements, whichever size cardstock you use or whether you use inches or your metric. There'll also be a list of all the products that I've used and links for my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop. If you do decide to place an order with me, please remember to use the HOSTESS code for March, and then when I send you your happy mail the following month, April, I will also be able to include some free product for you as well. And also thank you very much for choosing me to be your demonstrator. Also, if you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new video, I was under the impression people don't get notified, but apparently you do, which is good news. To subscribe, click on the bell, the subscribe now button in the bottom right hand corner, and then click on the bell by the side of it, and that makes sure that you get the notifications. That's it from me for today. Please take care, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Happy crafting. Cheerio.